The night we almost didn't stay. A romantic narrated story. It started with a storm. The kind that rolled in without warning, swallowing the sky whole and turning late evening into something darker, heavier. Ava hadn't planned on staying out that long, but the rain came down in sheets, relentless and loud, leaving her stranded beneath the narrow awning of a closed bookstore. She hugged her jacket tighter, laughing softly to herself. Perfect timing. Yeah, a voice beside her said, "You picked a great night for it." She turned. He was standing just a step away, like he'd always been there, dark hair damp from the rain, sleeves rolled up, a quiet kind of calm in his posture. Not awkward. Not intrusive. Just present. "I didn't see you there," she admitted. "I was here first," he said, a hint of a smile pulling at his lips. "But I'll let it slide." "Oh, how generous." "Very." She smiled despite herself. The rain kept falling, louder now, drumming against the pavement. Cars rushed past in blurred streaks of light, but neither of them moved. "I'm Ava," she said after a moment. "Liam." They shook hands, simple, polite, but neither of them pulled away immediately. There was a second, brief and strange, where something shifted. Not big. Not obvious. Just enough to notice. They started talking because there was nothing else to do. About the storm. Then about the city. Then about everything else. It should have felt forced, two strangers trapped in the same small space, but it didn't. It felt easy. Like picking up a conversation they'd paused instead of one they'd just begun. "You always talk to strangers in the rain?" Ava asked. "Only the interesting ones." She raised an eyebrow. "And you decided that quickly?" "I'm a fast learner." She laughed, shaking her head. Confident. Observant. Dangerous combination. He tilted his head slightly. "You don't seem worried." "I'm not," she said, meeting his gaze. "Should I be?" "Not tonight." There was something in the way he said it, soft, certain, that made the space between them feel smaller. The rain didn't stop. So they stayed. Minutes stretched into an hour, then more. The world beyond the awning faded into background noise, leaving just the two of them and the rhythm of the storm. At some point, Ava shivered. Just slightly. Liam noticed. Of course he did. "Here," he said, shrugging off his jacket, "I'm fine." "You're cold." "And you won't be?" "I'll survive." She hesitated, then took it. His jacket was warm, still carrying his heat, and something about that made her pause for just a second too long. "Thanks," she said quietly. "Anytime." When the rain finally softened, it felt like the world was giving them a choice. Stay in this moment. Or step out of it. "We could make a run for it," Ava said, glancing out at the street. "We could," Liam agreed, though he didn't move. Neither did she. Instead, she looked back at him. "Or," she added, a little more slowly now, "there's a cafe down the street that stays open late." He smiled, small, but real. "That sounds like a better plan." The cafe was quiet, warm, glowing with soft light and the low hum of late-night conversations. They sat across from each other at first. Then, somehow, that changed. Not dramatically. Just chairs shifting closer, conversation softening, the space between them shrinking without either of them acknowledging it out loud. "You always end up here on nights like this?" he asked. "Not usually," she said. "But I think I might start." "Good. Good." "Yeah," he said, holding her gaze. "I'd like to run into you again." Her heart skipped, just once, but enough to notice. "You assume I'd be here alone." "I assume you'd find your way back." There it was again. That quiet certainty. Hours passed. The kind that don't feel like time at all. And when the cafe began to close, neither of them seemed ready to let the night end. Outside, the rain had stopped completely, leaving the streets shining under the lights. "This is usually the part where people say goodbye," Ava said. "Usually," Liam agreed. "But?" He stepped closer, not too close, just enough to shift the air between them. "But I don't think we're done yet." Her breath caught slightly. "No? No." The world felt very still. Ava tilted her head, studying him. "You're very sure of that?" "I am." "And if you're wrong?" He smiled, softer now. "Then I'll accept the consequences." She laughed quietly, but it faded as quickly as it came. Because now he was closer. Close enough that she could feel the warmth of him again, even without the jacket. Close enough that the moment wasn't hypothetical anymore. "Liam," she said, her voice lower now, "what are you doing?" "Taking a chance. And if I say no? I'll stop." Simple. Honest. She nodded once. "Okay," she said softly. And that was all it took. When he kissed her, it wasn't rushed. It was careful. Intentional. Like he was giving her time to change her mind. She didn't. Instead, her hand found his sleeve again, then his shoulder, pulling him just a little closer, enough to turn something tentative into something real. The kiss deepened, still gentle but no longer uncertain. Warm. Lingering. The kind that made the rest of the world disappear for a moment. When they finally pulled apart, they didn't move far. Her forehead rested lightly against his. That, she murmured, a small smile forming, was not part of the original plan. I think the storm changed the plan. Clearly. But she didn't step away. Instead, her fingers traced lightly along his arm, absent, thoughtful, like she was grounding herself in the moment. "You do this often?" she asked softly. "Stand in the rain and meet someone I can't stop thinking about?" "Yeah." "No," he said. "First time." She believed him. They started walking, not really deciding where to go. Just moving. Their hands brushed once. Then again. The third time, neither of them pulled away. It felt natural, fingers fitting together like they'd done it before. "Careful," Ava said lightly, though her grip tightened just a little. "You're getting comfortable. Too soon." "Maybe." He glanced at her. "You don't sound convinced." "I'm not," she admitted. They stopped at the corner where their paths would split. "This is me," she said quietly. "Of course it is." She smiled faintly. "You make it sound like I planned it that way." "Didn't you?" "Maybe a little." There was a pause. Not awkward. Just full. "So," Liam said, "is this where we pretend this was just a random night?" Ava looked at him, really looked at him. Then she stepped closer again. "No," she said softly. "I don't think I want to pretend." "Good." "Good," she echoed. And this time, when they kissed, it wasn't careful. It was certain. Still soft. Still respectful. But deeper now, like something had already begun, and neither of them was trying to stop it. When they pulled away, her hand lingered against his chest, feeling the steady rhythm beneath her palm. "Same time tomorrow?" he asked quietly. She smiled, a little brighter now. "Let's not wait for another storm." And just like that, what almost ended as nothing became something they both knew was only just beginning. Ava didn't mean to think about him the next day. But she did. It started small, when she reached for her coffee and remembered how he'd taken his black, no sugar, like he had something to prove. Then when she passed the cafe and caught herself slowing down, just in case he was there. By evening, it wasn't small anymore. It was everywhere. So she went back. He was already there. Of course he was. Leaning against the same table, like he'd been waiting without wanting to look like he was waiting. When he saw her, something in his expression shifted, subtle, but unmistakable. Relief. You came, he said. You doubted me? A little. Good, she said, walking closer. You should. He smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. They didn't hug. Didn't rush into anything. But they stood too close for strangers. And neither of them moved away. This time, the conversation wasn't light. It couldn't be. Not after the night before. So, Ava said, tracing the rim of her cup, do you always do this? Do what? Meet someone, kiss them, and then expect a sequel. Liam leaned back slightly, studying her. You make it sound like I planned it. You didn't? No, he said honestly. But I don't regret it. She held his gaze. That makes one of us. The words landed sharper than she intended. Something flickered in his expression, not anger, not quite hurt. Just awareness. You regret it? He asked quietly. Ava hesitated. No, she admitted. That's the problem. They walked again that night. Same streets. Different energy. Closer now, but also more careful. Like both of them knew there was something real here, and that made it dangerous. You're thinking too much, Liam said after a while. I always think too much. About me? She glanced at him. Don't flatter yourself. Too late. She smiled despite herself, but it faded quickly. This doesn't feel simple, she said. It's not. And that doesn't bother you? No. Why not? He stopped walking. So she did too. Because simple things don't stay, he said. And I don't want this to disappear in a week like it didn't matter. Her chest tightened slightly. You don't even know me, she said. I know enough. That's not how this works. Maybe not, he said. But it's how I feel. Silence stretched between them. Not empty. Just heavy. Ava looked away first. You're making this harder than it should be. I think you're trying to make it easier than it is. That hit. She turned back to him, eyes sharper now. You met me in the rain yesterday. And? And now you're talking like this means something. It does. You don't know that. I do. Her breath caught, not because of the words, but because of how certain he sounded. And that scared her. Liam, she said, quieter now, people don't just show up and stay. I can. You say that now. I mean it. They always mean it. That was the first crack. He saw it immediately. Who didn't stay? He asked gently. She shook her head. That's not the point. It is. No, it's not, she said, stepping back slightly. The point is this, whatever this is, it's new. And you're acting like it's already something solid. Maybe it could be. Or maybe it won't, she shot back. The words hung there. Sharp. Final. Too final. For the first time since they met, neither of them knew what to say. Ava crossed her arms, like she was holding herself together. Liam exhaled slowly, running a hand through his hair. Okay, he said finally. So what do you want? She opened her mouth, then stopped. Because the truth wasn't simple. I don't know, she admitted. He nodded, but there was distance in it now. Right. The walk back was quieter. Not cold. Not angry. Just uncertain. At the corner where they'd kissed the night before, they stopped again. Same place. Different feeling. Guess this is you, Liam said. Yeah. A pause. So, he added, what happens now? Ava looked at him, really looked at him. At the way he was trying not to push. Not to ask for more than she was ready to give. And somehow, that made it worse. I think, she started, then faltered. He waited. I think we should slow down. There it was. Not a goodbye. But not a yes either. Liam nodded once. Okay. Just okay. No argument. No persuasion. And that hurt more than if he'd fought her. She turned to leave. Took one step. Then another. But something didn't feel right. It felt like that moment in the storm, standing on the edge of leaving, knowing she might not come back. Her chest tightened. Liam. He turned immediately. She walked back to him before she could overthink it. You're not supposed to make this easy for me, she said. A flicker of confusion crossed his face. What? You're supposed to argue. Or convince me. Or something. He let out a soft breath. I don't want to talk you into staying if you're not sure. That's exactly the problem, she said, her voice catching slightly. You're being good about it. He stepped closer, cautious now. Ava. I don't want easy, she admitted. I just don't want to get hurt. There it was. The truth. Liam didn't rush her. Didn't fill the silence. He just reached for her hand, slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. I'm not asking you to promise anything, he said quietly. Just, don't walk away before we even try. Her fingers tightened around his. That's not fair, she whispered. Probably not. But you're right. The tension broke all at once. Not gone, just shifting into something softer. Closer. Ava stepped into him this time, not hesitant now. Not unsure. Her hand slid up to his shoulder, steady and certain. See, she murmured. This is exactly what I was trying to avoid. What? This, she said, closing the space between them completely. And then she kissed him. Not careful like the first time. Not questioning like the second. This one was real. Full. Intentional. The kind that said I'm scared, but I'm here anyway. Liam's hand moved to her waist, grounding her, holding her close without pulling too hard, like he understood exactly what this moment meant. When they finally pulled apart, neither of them moved far. Your trouble, she said softly. You came back, he replied. Yeah, she breathed. I did. This time, when they stood at the corner. It didn't feel like almost losing each other. It felt like choosing not to.